Hi, Kelly Eckhold here to update you with the key events of the week. So this week the real highlight was the National Fieldays event, and I popped on down there to participate in a panel on resilience in the food and fibre sector, as well as to take a bit of a temperature check on sentiment in the sector. It'd be fair to say that sentiment around the event was pretty positive, and that's consistent with that quite strong run in commodity prices we've seen in the last year or so, as well as those quite strong levels of forecast payout of Fonterra to dairy farmers. Continuing on with that theme of more positivity, we have finalised our forecast for Q1 GDP, which will be coming out next week. And we think GDP will have risen by 0.7% for the quarter, which will still mean that it'll have gone backwards by 0.8% for the year, reflecting those two quite negative quarters of GDP growth we saw in the middle of last year. Growth looks like it's fairly broadly based right now compared to the last quarter, and that's consistent with that quite strong terms of trade trends I've been talking about for a while, as well as the beginnings of a flow through of lower interest rates to the broader economy. Comparing to other countries, if we get that 0.7% result, then that'll actually be pretty strong compared to many of our peers. In particular, I'll highlight Australian GDP growth was just 0.2% for that quarter. And also that level of growth is going to mean that we'll have positive per capita GDP growth, which will be a pleasant change in trend. All in all, this means that the Reserve Bank's bias towards leaving rates unchanged in the next July meeting looks reasonably wise at this stage. We've still got that forecast of a cut in August, but there's plenty of water to go under the bridge before we get there. I'll be back to update you again next week.